we are in a period of time at the moment where our stimulus is just bombarded with tips
Yes.
and reels and instructors with frankly no track records coming up and saying, you know what, guys, you need to do this, or you're a loser, sort of thing.
They're
Is
on the
that-
internet, so they must be credible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And also, this clip will make a great reel. By the way, just Well,
No.
I got to start carrying a driving iron just for the days where the driver's not working, but the irons are, and then I can have the best of both worlds, because I'm sure that totally makes sense.
You're smarter than you look.
Hey, does it actually work? You know what's funny?
Nick, in preparation for this, I was looking at your bio, and you've consulted for Team Europe several times over, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bear with me for a moment. Gotta suit up here.
Oh,
There you go. You
So-
knew it was coming.
Yeah.
so suddenly I'm starting to feel a bit ill.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bogey Ball Society. We're really glad you're here. We have a really, really special episode for you today. We've got a Ryder Cup special. In honor of, I'm wearing my Johnny Cash shirt. I've got a baseball cap. I've got a bomb pop, because let's go, USA. That's right. Not to mention, we've got Nick Bradley on. Nick Bradley, coach to PGA professionals, is going to come on. He's going to talk about his new website. He's going to talk about the Ryder Cup. He's going to talk about what it's like to coach Ryder Cup. I think you're really going to like it. Stick around. I'll catch you on the other side. Enjoy. It's going to be awesome.
How's it been so far in because you're in England, right?
Yeah, in London.
Like,
So I did a
London.
bit of work at the PGA Championship on Wednesday, and then just saw my family, did some family stuff. But then I fly back to New York tomorrow to finish off the end of that kind of season,
Nice.
and then get into some of my own sort of projects. So yeah, it's always nice, through such a heavy teaching schedule, just to have little incremental breaks every now and then, just to keep fresh.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, Nick,
Yeah.
I want to get to the tell us about yourself question, but I mean, what is that teaching schedule like? I mean, during the PGA Tour season, during the DP World Tour season, I mean, do you have time to eat or sleep, or are you jobbing it all the time?
Well, it's interesting because I've carried out tour work since, basically, it's showing my age here, since about 1992. Been coaching on tour for a long time. I was out on tour at 21 years old coaching.
Mhm.
So since then,
That's
there have
incredible.
been little periods when I haven't been teaching on tour, but as a consultant, every now and then the phone rings. Like, for example, earlier this year, I did 2.5 months with Seamus Power on the PGA
Oh,
Tour. So,
nice.
waste management. I did Valspar. I did, the Genesis, for example, at Torrey. So, and then I'm, at my golf club in New York. So I work with the members there, but still, sometimes I get pulled away. And then, when the weather's a little bit dodgy up there, then I have my own projects, one of which is obviously your golf technique,
Right.
where I kind of like, have that business as well. So I keep myself.
Well, Nick, maybe I should have started with that, but can you give us kind of the tell us about yourself brief? You've been in the game for quite a while, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I started off, I was a competitive swimmer. I actually trained with the England team and what have you. And
Oh,
I
wow.
did that up until the age of 21, but I took up golf at 16, managed to get down to scratch after a couple of years. But because a lot of my friends already played the game, I needed to get good quick. So I just read every
Mhm.
book, I watched every video. It was the Faldo, Ledbetter, Phenom sort of like era. And
Yeah.
so as a result of that, I just really gravitated toward golf instruction and made that, what made this person better than that person. And then I
Neat.
started to join the dots. So at the age of 23, I got headhunted by the Ledbetter organization with IMG, and I moved out to Lake Nona. and worked for David Ledbetter, understudied him for 4 years, worked with Faldo, Nicky Price, Ernie, all those kind of guys.
Wow.
I did that for 4 years, then came back to Europe and went out on tour basically on my own. Started out as, Nick Bradley sort of thing. And that took me a couple of years, but I had students on the European tour win the French Open, Italian Open.
Wow.
I think I coached 6 national champions in that time. And, so things were good, and then I wrote my first book, The 7 Laws of the Golf Swing, in 2003. And then kind of after that, which went on to sell 115,000 copies around the world in 5
Oh, wow.
languages. And after that, I really needed a new adventure. So in 2005, I moved to America, opened up my first golf academy in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And
Nice.
within 3 months of that, I was out on tour with Justin Rose. So I worked with
Mm,
Rosie for the best part of 4 years. Ryder Cups, took him to helped him get to European #1. And
Amazing.
in that time, I worked with Brad Fax and Kevin Chappell, etc.,
Yep.
etc. So anyway, that's kind of it. And I gave up tour teaching, I guess, in 2014. After I did the Ryder Cup consultancy with Paul McGinley, I did
Hmm.
all of the backroom messaging, all the kind of like the strategy mentally for him. So
okay.
that's well documented. And after that, I
It's
kind of
cool.
wanted to see my daughter grow up. So I said, right, that's it, less traveling. So I did a lot of corporate work after that.
That's fantastic. Wow.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah, man, I'm
yeah.
not sure where to start there.
We were just I was just down in Myrtle Beach a couple months ago. This is my first time there, and I can see why you would open a shop there because it's uh, golf everywhere. It's everywhere. So
Yeah, I had honestly, I had 17 really happy years in Sunset Beach, North Carolina, which is just over the state line.
yeah,
But no, I raised my family there and had some great times there. But it was a really, after being out on tour, it was like a nice haven to go back to.
I'm sure. Yeah.
After flying
Yeah.
and the hotels and tour work. So it's a beautiful place.
Can you touch on that a little bit? Like, what is that life as a touring pro coach? Like, you're going to the events. I'm assuming you're working with your players Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Are you staying for Thursday? Are you staying for any of the rounds or no?
No, if it's the week of a major, you will probably hang around, okay?
Okay,
Just in case, there was something that needed some immediate attention. But generally, it'll be a Monday to Wednesday gig.
got it.
And depending on kind of like what the consultancy is with a player, some players are high maintenance. Um,
Sure.
some players need a little more of a looser arrangement where they kind of like to self maintain, which is fine as well.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the player has to own the information. So the self maintenance guys are just as valuable as the guys that need more attention. So you just have to
Yeah.
kind of like fit and match what needs to be done. So yeah, so you typically leave on a Sunday night or early Monday morning, arrange with the player and what they're doing. The only thing that can disrupt preparation can be the pro-ams
Mm,
on the Wednesdays. But
Oh,
thankfully
right.
now the PGA Tour has got a brilliant policy in now where the players only do 9 holes in the pro am,
That's right.
right? So the AMs stay and play 18, but the pros flip flop. So it
I
doesn't
think
take
that's
so much of their preparation time away, which is a real blessing, to
yeah.
be honest with you.
Well,
Um,
it's such a great idea too because it gives the AMs the chance to play with two pros, which is
yeah,
that's a really cool little benefit. So it feels like everybody wins there. That's really great.
100%. Yeah, it was a fantastic inclusion.
Yeah.
So yeah, you really, it's really a case of, there's 2 modes when you're teaching a tournament professional. There's either development or there's maintenance. And
Mm,
at any given time, you have to know which room you're dealing with. So,
mm,
if a player's played well last week, you're probably into maintenance of whatever you were doing at that point.
sure.
Um, if it's a new relationship, you're probably getting into the realm of more development.
mhm.
Well, let me ask you: is there a third mode called crisis? And I know that sounds funny, but I swear I've seen instances of a Saturday evening, like post round. I could have sworn I've heard anecdotes of Jordan Spieth asking Cameron McCormick to come in and take a look on the weekend at the Masters. I know I've seen video of Scotty asking Rick Smith, "Hey, can you take a look?" I mean, I feel like I see anecdotes or hear anecdotes of pros asking for, the kind of the post round session on a Saturday because they're not pleased with how they hit it with one more round to go. I mean, does that happen? And is it possible to kind of get it fixed in 24 hours like that?
Yeah, so the the most common cause of that is when a player has gone to another coach and
Mm.
at some point they realize this simply isn't working. And then the phone call
Oh,
comes
interesting.
in and 911, okay, I need help right now, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
To at least bring me back to where my memory remembers what I was doing, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so if they, you know, if they go off track, at least there's a blueprint with the previous coach you can refer back to, right? The
Yeah.
second instance of that is when there's a genuine case of what the heck am I doing? And the answer to your question is
Yeah.
that yes, you can quick fix someone, for want of a better word, especially if there's and by the way, it shouldn't be too radical, right?
Sure. Yeah.
If these guys and girls are so talented that there's rarely anything radical that's going to happen now where it takes 4 months. I mean, Nick Faldo's famous 2-year swing change.
Hmm.
We could pretty much get done in 5 or 6 months now. So,
Wow.
with measuring devices,
Sure.
biomechanics, certain
Yeah.
programs. So yeah, there are such things in the PGA Tour golf as a panic button, like I'm in crisis here. But generally, it happens after there's been a coach's change and the person is just completely lost. I mean, we would have to look at Max Homer this year as an example of that,
Sure.
Yes.
right? And then the second instance or scenario would be where you would have to go back to certain fundamental. I will say this just on this subject,
Hmm.
and this is good for your listeners as well, is that in pro golf and even with amateurs, you have with your golf game you have themes and you have feelings, and it's very important not to get those mixed up. So
Okay.
Yeah.
themes are what I would call constants. They're to do with your biomechanics. They're to do with your physiology. They're to do with your technique. These are immovable technical requirements. So
Mhm.
if someone is guilty of this and this, you've got to keep on top of this and this, right? Now,
Okay.
Got it.
where players go down the rabbit hole is when they substitute feelings for themes, because themes are there's as many themes as many feelings in the golf swing as there are leaves on that tree. You can have, there's innumerable
Hmm.
feelings
Yeah.
that you can have, but themes really wouldn't change all that much, right? So
Yeah.
when a player really gets lost, what they do is the themes sort of like get pushed aside and they start chasing feelings. Now they can go down a rabbit hole.
Wow. Man, I've
Is
never
that
heard it
the
put
is that
like that.
the is that the feels versus reels concept? Like I've heard that talked about, or is that a different conversation?
No, that's more to do with, I feel that I'm here.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
more in instruction, like actually
Got
when
it.
you're working on things, yeah.
Okay.
But for the PGA Tour player, when they move off of their blueprint and say, right, I'm going to start to, I feel this and I feel that, that's an immediate red flag for an experienced instructor, because
Yeah.
they've got to say, okay, well, how far are we moving away now from the true north?
Got it.
Right? How far we move. So I got to bring them back somehow and let them have their own feelings. I
Sure.
can't tell a player how to feel, right? They can feel it however they want to feel it, as far as I'm concerned. But my job as an instructor is make sure they're fundamentally and biomechanically on track.
That's right. Okay.
Nick, I feel I mean, so it's fascinating to me that you're describing this relative to pro golfers because I think you're describing also amateurs on a weekly basis, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of my friends, and I've been guilty of it in the past too, of, well, it used to be Golf Digest and now it's YouTube, where there's a new feeling to chase every week or a new tip based on, usually it's some sort of, hey, the guy that won last week, here's what he does, and you should do that too. Can you tell us about your golf technique and kind of because as I understand it, your golf technique is launching kind of as a remedy for exactly that, right?
Sorry, just to be clear for the listeners, the website is called Your Golf Technique. We're not
Apologies.
necessarily
Yeah.
asking
Thank you.
Nick about his golf technique, although
Right,
those
yeah, I
probably
should
go hand
clarify
in
that,
hand.
yeah.
So
Don't go there.
Right, yeah. Right.
yeah, it only took you a couple years to get to scratch. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
the way you tossed that in, by the way, at the beginning was very very impressive. And I wanted
Yeah.
to get good, so I got down to scratch.
Very, very layer
Yeah,
fair. It was just slipped
yeah,
in
yeah, that's
subliminally.
exactly right. Yeah,
No, okay. So, we are in a period of time at the moment where our stimulus is just bombarded with tips
yes.
and reels and instructors with frankly no track records coming up and saying, you know what, guys, you need to do this, or you're a loser, sort of thing.
They're
Is
on the
that
internet, so they must be credible.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And also,
So
this clip will make a great reel. By the way, just
yeah,
just
but the fact of the matter is that remote coaching has a place,
Mhm.
but random, like trying to win the lottery by picking this instructor that's got the particular fix just for you is so crazy. It's unbelievable. So what we're finding, especially with my students, I would say, of the students that aren't a member of my golf club, the number one complaint that I have when I do the discovery period, when I'm talking to them,
Mhm.
is I've got to stop watching Instagram. I've got to stop watching, I'm so screwed up. I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that we know from research now is because people's time is valuable, that they're less inclined now to watch 10 1-minute reels where it's firing in 10 different directions. They
Yeah.
would rather watch a 4-minute piece with substance and,
Interesting.
authority and authentic instruction rather than 10 pieces of junk.
Yeah.
Right. So when I created Your Golf Technique with a few of my colleagues, um, I wanted it to provide a little bit like masterclass.com, where you've got really
Yes.
good, authentic information that you can follow from proven instructors. We're just downloading our Iron course now with Taylor Crosby, who's the director of instruction at the Kingdom at Reynolds Lake Oconee, the
Okay.
TaylorMade
Wow.
place. So
Yeah.
I wanted to say, okay, if you wanted really good, wholesome golf instruction, here's your home. If you're fed up with the chase and the shiny objects and the whistles and what have you, dog whistles and stuff, then this is it. So I've done the first course, which is a really good driver course. It's a
Mm.
A to Z, a tapestry, how to hit the driver, all the faults and fixes relative to that club as well.
I
Okay.
want this very badly. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Speaking my language. Yeah.
Because believe it or not, the faults with a driver, because the length and the loft and the speed are actually quite different to the faults that you would get with a wedge or a 7-iron. So it's not generic at all. It's pertinent to, okay, here's this machine, here's this club. You got to watch out for these things with it, right?
Yep.
So getting back to the question, your golf technique was born out of the fact that on a daily basis, someone who teaches at club level and tour level, even the tour players can go down the rabbit holes with the junk that's
Mm.
out there. It's not all junk, but it's not personalized, right?
Sure.
So what I've done with your golf technique, a bit like I did with the 7 laws of the golf swing, is to take a subject matter, average out the complaints or what we need to know, and say,
Mm.
right, if you follow this, you'll stay the same or definitely get better, but you ain't getting worse.
Mm.
That's great. I mean, especially, this is the conversation I feel like we have every week, but like my driver can either be on fire where I'm hitting 75% of fairways and then I shoot a seemingly a really good round. Or I'm hitting 25% of fairways because I just can't seem to get it in shape. And then I'm scrambling with every other club trying to make up for it. And, Yeah, it would be nice to have one spot to go because I'm totally guilty of, oh, I saw this amazing reel. I saw this amazing clip. I also probably saw 8 terrible tips, but one of them seems to speak to me, and so I'm going to grab onto that one and try to put it into practice. The one day I get to golf, so it's incredibly complicated.
So, Matt, here's a typical amateur scenario. Okay, now think about this. I bet when the times when you're hitting your driver well, your iron play is not great. And when your iron play is
Yes,
really good,
often.
I bet your driver is not good. So there's
100%.
no equilibrium in your game.
That's
And
right.
that's because your angle, some days you might be a bit steeper. Hey, the irons are going well, driver not good. Other
Yeah.
days, because of your physiology or what you're thinking, your angle of attack is different. And all of a
Mm.
sudden, your driver is your best friend again, but you can't hit a 7-iron. Your
Yep.
low point has changed, for example. So you get this. What great golfers do is they don't swing differently with the clubs. The generic swing is the same, but they
Sure.
realize there's certain ballistic differences that have to happen. What
Mm.
amateur golfers do is they go into a driver expecting it, to do the same thing as with a 7-iron, and some days it
Right.
works, and it's like a set of scales. Look, all the drivers working, but the irons are down there, and then the
Yeah.
irons are working, but the driver's down there. It's like so
Yeah.
you've got to balance them out somehow.
Yeah. Well,
That
I got to start carrying a driving iron just for the days where the driver's not working, but the irons are, and then I can have the best of both
yeah.
worlds because I'm sure that totally makes sense.
You're smarter than you look.
Hey, does it actually work? What's funny is that I actually have a driving iron that I loved. I got along really well with it, and the head got a little loose, and I kind of shelved it for a little while. But one of the courses I play is a link style. I'm out in Southern California, so there's a couple that have been sort of modeled, and I happened to play really well with that club the last time I was there. A driver wasn't working, and I was hitting my irons great. And all right, I might have to put it back in the bag.
There you go.
Well, Nick, so are there other kind of systemic bad ideas you keep hearing from your clients, the amateur ones in particular? Because I feel like there's trends in golf instruction, right? And they kind of come and go, and it's awfully hard for our listeners, for us to kind of sort through what's the good idea or the bad idea. But I think I also hear you saying it might be a good or bad idea for an individual. You know what I mean?
Mm, mm. Well, the one that springs to mind, actually, I get quite a lot is people that move their ball position around
Mm.
in their stance relative to the club they're using. And
Uh-oh, is that not a thing we're
like I,
supposed
I
to
was
do?
going to pull out I was going to pull out a club there, but if you imagine, look, this is your golf club. Now, all of the golf clubs in your bag, when they're made in the factory, the shaft is designed to stand at 90 degrees because it's got that loft, that bounce, and what have you. They don't make clubs in the factory like this, okay?
Sure.
All right, so they don't make clubs in the factory like that. They are actually made with the shaft standing at 90 degrees. Okay, so if you start putting the ball back in the stance, for example, now you start to de-loft the club, the face starts to shut. Now that alters your move away and your back, ba 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 ba. It goes on and on and on. So one of the common things I have to talk about is what Hogan did, what Jack did, what Tiger did, what Nick Faldo did, is to have a one constant ball position which respects the way that the golf club wants to return back to the ball. The golf club doesn't want to return back to the ball with a ton of shaft lean. It's not
Mm.
designed like that, right?
Mm.
So if I just pick one example, that's all I need. I could pick 20, but if you look at Hogan's teachings, which is he wished that he had 3 right hands. It's one sentence in the 5 lessons that everyone overlooks. And he says, when I'm playing well, I wish I had 3 right hands. And basically what he's talking about there is the release of the angle here coming back into the ball. Well,
Mhm.
guess where that shaft then comes back to? Comes back to 90 degrees, right? He's not
Mm.
talking about holding any angles, right?
Okay.
So my point being is that with the ball position in the right way, and by the way, in the 7 laws of the golf swing, I said there's no such thing as ball position. It's sternum position, right? So
Mm.
the ball is relative to your center of
Yeah.
mass. Um, but relative to that, if you have a constant ball position where the club wants to fall into position time and time again, now you've got the right loft, now you've got the right bounce, now your angle of attack's pretty good. But the one
Huh.
thing is that, oh, I've got to put a pitching wedge back and I've got to put my driver way forward. Well, no wonder the swing doesn't know where it is.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Huh? So, if we follow what Jag did, Hogan did, Tiger did, Fowler did, and probably Scotty Scheffler and certainly Justin Rose, is you say, okay, right, okay, here it is. And now that club wants to return back to, back here. That's where it wants to
Okay.
be.
So are you saying the ball position should be constant regardless of club, or that people are just moving it too
Way
much
too much.
along too
Too
far
much,
a range?
too much variability.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Is there a difference between a wedge being like absolute dead middle of your stance versus a driver being off your front foot, or should it even be less than that? Is that
well,
because I
if
mean
you,
I've
if
definitely heard that the both of those things. So now I'm
This this has turned into an online lesson, Nick. I'm sorry.
this is
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. Well, if you look at the maximum radius or radius and arc of the club, okay.
Right.
If this is coming down and I point this down, it's going to be generally opposite my left armpit, where the
Sure.
club is at a maximum length there. Okay, and my arm, it's not backed that way, right?
Sure.
That's that's where the club wants to return to.
Okay.
Because of centrifugal force, this is going to get wider, right, and going to throw away from you. Well, that's
Right.
generally going to be forward of middle. It's not going to be back here. So think
Yes.
about you guys. You think about baseball. The ball is hit out there, bang. It's
Yeah.
not hit back behind the chest, and that's
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
that's when the bat is released at its most potent point. So
Got it.
golf, yeah. So that will be the one thing that
That's cool.
I
Yeah.
have to say, because if you start getting into that area, now you're talking about people that believe in massive shaft lean. You're talking about people that want to have tons of lag, and that's
Yeah.
now you're in no man's land.
Man.
Yeah, I chased lag for a little bit a couple years ago, and I never got anywhere. And as soon as I tried to simplify swinging, my handicap started tumbling way down. So it was
Right.
a nice little like, oh, I think if I keep it simpler, it's probably better for my big dumb head. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nick, so tell us more about, so it's yourgolftechnique.com. Tell us what the user experience is. I mean, is it built out and ready to go? Kind of what are our listeners getting when they go to that URL?
So you're getting obviously our Instagram feed as well. So again,
Hmm.
wholesome, and again, this is very generic information. It's not saying, hey, you slicers, you need to do this or you need to do that. It's not pointing at anyone. It's generic information that people can take it or leave it. It's not bullying you into it, right? Which is the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
So the timeline for your golf technique is we're launching a couple of courses. I've done driver course, which is available now, right?
Okay.
And then Taylor's course is being loaded next week. And then we're just gonna see what our feedback is from the customers. And what we'd like to do is get to about April, mid-April, and then we want to launch the membership component. And as soon as that launch is launched with all the bells and whistles and what you're going to get, very personalized service, and again, more of these courses. One of the nice things about what I've managed to do in my career is for me to pick up the phone to some of the best golf instructors on the planet and say, "Hey, would you design this course for me?" Is we can do it. So there's going to be lots of exciting things coming down the line with that membership. The second thing is caddies. I mean, some of my really good friends are some of the best caddies in the world. Mark Fulch and Mickey Doran. These guys are Ryder
Mm.
Cups, world
Wow.
number ones. So I want to bring those in. And then interviewing people that I've known for many years, like Sir Nick Faldo, managing the conversation there. But
Yeah. Wow.
what I would like to do on that side of things is provide information and ask questions that have never really been kind of asked before. So we'd like to get to mid-April with a nice bunch of people that have bought the two courses and get some nice feedback and say, okay, you know what, if we develop a membership for you now on the back of this, what would you like to see in that? So we want to ask the customers, what kind of a membership would you like? And then let's deliver that rather than us
Yeah.
presuming what they want to know.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm
That's
going to go
really
check out the
great.
driver course because
Yeah.
it's funny. a couple episodes ago, we mentioned I was struggling with my wedges, hitting a lot of thin wedges. I took a online lesson from my instructor, and I've been working with this guy for a while, and I've been hitting great wedges ever since. Driver is struggling, so I'm gonna go find this driver course and let you know.
Yeah, please do.
So is the oh, sorry. Go for it.
I was going to say, what's the Ryder Cup badge you've got on the T-shirt, Hayes?
Funny you mentioned that. Nick, in preparation for this, I was looking at your bio, and you've consulted for Team Europa several times over, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
bear with me for a moment. I gotta suit up here.
yeah. Oh,
There you go. You
so,
knew
so,
you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
so,
So
suddenly I'm starting to feel a bit ill.
Well, here's the thing. How about this, Nick? For fun, I'll talk like this, and then I'll be Shane Lowry. He can be Team USA,
Easy.
and we'll do it. We'll just have a pretend fight right here on camera.
Not bad. Not
It's
bad.
not great. It's not bad. It's not great.
Yeah.
So
I got to
Nick,
work on it.
the Ryder Cup, I got to tell you, is near and dear to my heart. It's my hands down. So I'm a diehard Denver Bronco fan and Atlanta Braves fan. They could not win a game for the entire season if it meant the U.S. would win the Ryder Cup. That's how much I care about this. The
Wow.
shirt came from the merch tent at Hazeltine. I attended in 2016. I was there on Saturday. I swear, when Patrick Reed chipped in or hit the wedge shot and hold out from I think about 90 yards, I swear I felt the earth shake over on the 12th hole. I mean, it was a phenomenal moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
But let's talk about that. So you've consulted twice. You consulted with Sir Nick Faldo at Valhalla, and
Yeah.
then Paul McGinley at Glen Eagles. What can you tell us about
Wow.
the week, the prep, the lead up to it? I mean, for a Ryder Cup geek like me, I mean, please share. Tell us about
Incredible.
your experiences.
So with Sir Nick in '08, I was actually coaching that week Justin Rose at that
Okay.
Ryder Cup.
Okay.
So all I can say is you better darn well do your preparation the week before a Ryder Cup.
Hmm.
Because during the week as a player, you get pulled off into so many media events, so many
The
interviews,
dinners.
team
Yeah.
meetings, functions, da
Yeah.
da 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 da. Really have to be a key at energy management. A week of a Ryder Cup, and
Wow.
from a coach's point of view, as I say, there's so much noise going on. To actually go there and think you can accomplish much work is a bit of an
Yeah.
illusion. You're
Yeah.
hopefully just maintaining what you did the week before, and you're doing it. So yeah, I worked with Justin on that Ryder Cup. We lost. Just you guys had an amazing team with Paul Asing. You're using the pod system.
Sure. Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
think that was a good system for him. Um, and but yeah, so my preparation with Justin was just to mentor. I mean, I think he was the highest point earner for Europe that week, which was obviously successful, and beat Phil in the singles. And then
Hmm.
with Paul McGinley, I mean, I've known and coached Paul for many years. So was a student of mine when he was playing, and
Wow.
so on the back of my two books, Kinetic Golf and the Seven Laws of the Golf Swing, he loved the imagery and the sort of verbiage that I would use in the book. So he said, Nick, what I want you to do is we're going to spend a lot of time together. Here is my team messaging for the week. So if your listeners go into Nick Bradley Ryder Cup in Google or Nick Bradley Ryder Cup images, I created a bunch of images for him that were not just pretty pictures, they were sort of like chronological as well. So, for example, on the Saturday afternoon, I think in 2014, you guys really came back at us that afternoon.
Hmm.
And one of the images on the wall was the Rock of Europe with like the gold stars, and it says, "When the storm comes, we will be the rock." And so
Hmm.
that was the one that he used and said, "Look, you see that image up there? This is us on Sunday. This is how it's going to be."
Wow.
So I did along with Sir Alex Ferguson. He was one of the consultants that week of Manchester United, right? Sir Alex
Hmm.
Ferguson. And
Oh,
then
wow.
I was privileged and proud to be asked by Paul to do all the back team room messaging for all of the players and the team. So it was a real privilege to do it. And so yeah, that was it. It was fantastic.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. So can you talk about, so they just finished Procore. Scotty once again wins because he just doesn't like to
Wins.
lose. It's ridiculous. But so this week, what are they doing? Right? Because it's now we're 2 weeks out, right? So they're probably not in New York yet. Are
They
they?
are.
Are they? They
They
are in New
are.
York already. Wow. Okay.
European team arrived this morning.
This morning.
Wow.
Okay. So then, what does this week look like for them? Are
Um,
they?
they
Are
might
they?
be
Is it all
playing.
practice rounds? Is it
They might
all?
be playing Shinnecock or National, or maybe having a sniff around Bethpage. Acclimating together. Luke
Yeah.
will have his plan for the European team, and bonding and working out pairings and really drilling down into the strategy of really the pairings. Now the caddies, people like Mark Fulcher, Billy Foster,
Mhm.
all they will be scouring that golf course. They
Oh,
will
so
be looking at
okay.
every inch of it, and then go into the players and saying, right, here's the plan, here's the blueprint. That's what we're
Wow.
going to do. If we're 3 down playing 15, this is where we're going to hit it. We're 2
Okay.
down playing 17, this is where we're going to hit. So all of that sort of stuff will be going on. And then really it's getting the players into a match play frame of mind,
Yeah.
which is
What's
yeah,
totally different than stroke play. I mean, it's a completely different animal. So I imagine that's right. That would take a big turning point to say, okay, now we're focused on this style versus every other week of the year. Effectively, I mean, I don't think
yeah,
they took
yeah.
the match play event off the PGA Tour. Is there one on the DP Tour?
That's a great question.
I don't know if there is one, but I
No,
imagine that
we
that's
used
a
we used to have the Sevi Trophy, which was
okay.
our little warm up one. It's where we tried out captains, tried out pairings and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But I think the schedule was just so crazy, transatlantically so
it's
crazy that
unbelievable.
it's
Yeah.
difficult to do that event anymore. But it's really for Luke. He's still working on this team, and
Sure.
it's only until probably Sunday evening that he's not got his radar on.
Yeah.
He's
Wow.
there's unlike a coach where at some point you fall away and you say, right, over to you, kiddo. Right, you got to do it. As a
Yeah.
captain of a Ryder Cup team, you're making sure is everyone happy? Are the pairings right? What's the weather doing? What's the order on the golf course? You're constantly churning. Um, and even when, you've got 4 matches out, one match may have finished, but you've got another 3. So now you're thinking about the 3, now 2,
Mhm.
now what? So it's a marathon of, I mean, Sunday night or Monday morning, Luke will be absolutely banjaxed. I mean, he'll be
Yes.
like
Yeah.
pie eyed.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, Nick, something I'd like to understand is clearly being the home team matters, right? It seems to matter a heck of a lot. But one of the things I keep hearing, so now we're in the States, we're going to play Bethpage Black, and I keep hearing announcers or the media will talk about, well, the Americans are going to, the rough's going to be low and it's going to be set up to take advantage of American length. But I look at the European roster and it's not like it's a roster of short hitters.
No, it is not.
So, so why is it just a question of the captain can set it up and that's what yields that home advantage, or is it just crowd energy? I mean, to what do you kind of attribute that home setup advantage?
The, the home setup advantage is really the home crowds.
Just the
A
adrenaline
golf
of it
course is
all.
a golf course is a golf course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got world class caddies out there and world class players, no one is out there thinking, God, this golf course has beaten me to, what am I going to
Yes.
do on the 12th?
Yeah.
They're
Right.
going to have a format for that. So the golf course setup really doesn't come into play. What does come into play is the home atmosphere and the home comforts and the home crowd,
Yeah.
and just expectations. Just expectations. I think that part of the European success formula was the fact that we always were underdogs. We always
Mhm.
were. And we were made to feel like underdogs as well. I was looking at some quotes the other day. I think there was one from Tom Kite saying, "Yeah, we do this thing. We fly into Europe. We have some dinner. We play a golf game. We win, and then we fly back." It was a
Wow.
little bit kind of,
Yeah.
okay, well, screw you. So,
Yeah.
and they called Sebi Ballesteros, Steve Ballast, that
Yeah.
it was a little bit kind of like,
Oh, I didn't know
not
that.
disrespectful, I don't like that word, but there was a certain needling, right?
Sure.
For
And
sure.
part of our mojo, part of our secret sauce, as it were, was the fact that we've been slapped down for so long,
Yeah.
that our fighting spirit comes from the fact that we're underdogs. The moment we think that we have the edge,
Mhm.
I think that's now dodgy territory because you get complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had this conversation the night Tommy won. We had a record and at East Lake, and I commented. I said, Europe is a problem for the U.S. because the way I see it, that's a team. Like when he was finishing, Justin was out there with his camera. Shane was out there. They were all waiting to give him hugs and high fives, and
Yeah,
like they like each other and they hang out with each other. And it is very clear that there is a camaraderie there that I don't see on the US side. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not there. I just don't see it in the same way. And I am really intrigued. Can you talk about how the decisions to make a pairing come about? Because it isn't always about who's the best friend. It's more right. It's got to be about whose games complement each other, especially when you're playing what's the four ball? Is that the one where the alternate shot? Like
that's
that's
right.
an unbelievably hard.
Yeah.
So
So
how does that
what you're really doing is the criteria for choosing great pairings is number one, what is your rapport like? What is your,
Mhm.
how close are you? Second thing is when you look at the course setup and the makeup of the course, okay, where are the long holes? Okay, is there an advantage there? And who's a good wedge player? So
okay,
you're looking at it's not rocket science, but you're looking at the course saying, who wants to tee off first. But after that, you're saying, okay, look, the whole long holes are 3, 8, 9, 14. So who can we get to tee off on those to give the second player an accuracy advantage?
sure,
Um, so that would be it there. And then when it comes to the singles, it really depends on where you are in the match. I mean, you don't want to have, if you've got an advantage, you want to just blow the thing apart as early as possible. So you
Sure.
would front
absolutely,
load your singles and maybe leave a couple of studs in the back just in case it goes down to that. So you try and get like an early kill. Okay, have your okay players in
sure,
the middle and leave a couple of studs on the top end. But really, it's about a rapport and who is going to flow with another player. Because you need these players to flow.
right,
Like there's a spontaneity. You don't need a stop-start relationship where it's. I mean, like Woozy and Faldo when they played in '87 together. Um, Justin Rose's caddies just text me actually. So when
that's right,
Woozy and Faldo, you have to remember Woozy and Faldo played county golf together. They've known each other.
Mhm.
Woozy, Sandy Lyle and
wow,
Ian Woosnam have played county golf together since they were teenagers. So you can
okay,
pretty much say that a lot of these players, you look at their relationship, how it is.
Yeah.
Of course, there are players that I can think of one. I'm not going to name any names on the European side, but there was a couple of real frigging mismatches that
yeah,
Yeah. Sure.
just. And when you look at it on paper, you think, well, what? Why? I mean, you can see that. Why did you do that? So we
yeah,
really are trying to pick players that can flow together without any, sort of conscious walking on eggshells. You want to feel like you're really, comfortable with that player.
Yeah. It's funny because so you were Glen Eagles. I always thought the Spieth and Reed pairing was fascinating because I don't know that they really cared for each other, and they even said it in interviews. I'm just trying to one up my partner. It
Yeah.
was
oh,
interesting,
interesting,
and
yeah,
they were a really tough pairing, and especially at Hazeltine.
Well, that's right. Yeah, and then you had like Tom. Tom was a slightly abrasive captain, maybe a bit out of touch with the average age of the team. That kind
Right.
of didn't
Yeah.
help there.
oh,
And
interesting,
I
yeah,
can tell you
That's
now that
right. Glenn Eagles was the press conference after that, right? The American press conference with Phil and Tom
yeah,
Watson.
yeah, and
Oh boy.
yeah,
I can tell you that the work that Paul McGinley did was absolutely phenomenal. He basically, I think, set the template for what we have now, whether it's
Mm.
the statistics, everything from the team room to the bonding to how we really work with the players individually. So he set a different bar for the Ryder Cup captains that followed him.
Interesting. This just popped in my head, and it may not be valid at all, but I'm wondering from a coaching standpoint, these players are the best in the world, and when they come into a room like this, where there's you're not necessarily everybody's coach, like you were coaching Justin.
Sure.
Is there any hesitancy from them because they're so good about accepting advice or accepting coaching, or are they really in on the team aspect? Because I imagine golf is a very individual sport most of the time. And so to come into the team room and say, it's not necessarily just about me, but it's about the team, do you find that there are some personalities, again, not naming names, but are there some personalities that just have a hard time with that?
Oh yeah. I mean, that there are. I mean, I don't think that Tiger Woods has particularly done well in Ryder Cups. I mean,
Hmm.
Tiger's all about Tiger.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Jack Nicklaus had a horrific record in Ryder Cups. Jack was all about Jack and 18
That's amazing.
majors. So
Yeah.
there's no question that you have people that are certainly not aligned to a team atmosphere, and I think that's one of the beauties about the way that we've managed to gel the teams together over the years.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is obviously we've got thousands of years of history, whether it's continental Europe, France, Spain, Germany, Italy, Belgium, whatever it is, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. We've all lived together for 2,500 years, and we've got to know our cultures, and we respect each other's cultures and stuff. And we go on vacation. It's a very homogenized
Yeah.
family sort of thing, right? And I think one of the tough thing about America is you have 50 states, and
Mhm.
each of the 50 states kind of competes against the other one, whether it's
Yeah.
politically or in a sports arena.
Yeah. No,
I
you're
mean,
absolutely right.
I mean, so I think one of the tough things for any US captain is to say, listen, guys, I know you're all strong individually here, but, and I think one of the things that we did in 2014 was, and I've done this because I do a few keynote speeches through the year for companies and what have you. And the beauty about a team is I recognize in Matt what I really like, and Matt recognizes in me what he really likes about me. So there's
Mm.
there's a mutual respect there. Matt's got my back with that, and Nick's got my back. So
That's right.
you get to like what you like about the other player, right? And I think when you do that, when you create a network of respect in the team, I think now you've got the basis to go forward.
Now, do you
Cool.
subscribe to the theory that this matters more to the Europeans than it does to the Americans?
I think so because of the underdog thing.
Yeah.
I think you guys have won. Um, you've won 7 times in a row, 3 times in the history.
Mm.
So win, 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 win,
Wow.
win. So it
Yeah.
goes. So if you actually
But
look,
not
one
on.
of the
y-
images I actually did for Paul, and you can see it on the internet, was I held up a ticker tape of the victories from what was the first one? 35? I don't know. Um,
Mm.
and you can see it. There's a plethora of red, white, and blue flags, and the GB in Ireland and the European flags make up 2/10. So you guys have truly whacked us and waxed us in this tournament. So
Yeah.
anyone in Europe thinking, hey, we've won so many times since 1985 and we're all good. No, we've still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's not, we're
1927 was the first Ryder Cup,
1927, yeah.
which is
So
nuts.
as a team, we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen this year? Do you have a prediction for us based on
Yeah.
your
Look into your crystal
view of the
ball.
lineup?
Yeah, I think
That's
it's
right.
going to be. I know this is the cop out answer, but I do think it's going to be very tight because I think our players are on fire. Tommy's won, Justin won recently.
Mhm.
John, the whole thing. So I think our
Yeah.
team's really in good form, But I think, Scotty playing well, obviously, you guys have got the home advantage, which,
Yeah.
the chemistry is there, especially in New York as well. So I really think you've got a balance there between form and home advantage.
So I'll go next and then we'll let Matt be Switzerland. I think it's going to be an American victory. All kidding aside, I do wonder on the European side, John Rahm. I keep wondering I feel like, and I don't want to open this can of worms, but I feel like Live Golf John Rahm is not the same as PGA John Rahm, and I'm curious which version shows up.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I mean, top to bottom, I think it's a very stacked European lineup, so it's definitely going to be very tight. But I do
I,
think the home crowd carries us.
I think when it comes to John, I think the legacy of Sebi Ballesteros
Mm.
and Manuel Pinero and Canizares and Jose Maria, and I think John carries that mantle very seriously.
Okay.
Honestly, Rahm scares me more than most of the other team because he is the one who, if he gets a fire lit,
Sure. Yeah.
he is so intense.
Yeah.
And it isn't that cool, calm, collected thing. So when he gets on fire, he gets on fire. And especially in that kind of environment with that kind of I mean, New Yorkers are not exactly shy about
Not polite.
anything.
Well, I
not
have to-
really.
I have-
And also it's been encouraged to kind of, I mean, it happened in Paris.
Goes a little too far, frankly.
But I mean, the home field they get really into it in a way that might be inappropriate. I don't know, but I've not been there. I can't say. But it's definitely a different setting than any of the majors, than any of the other tournaments. It's a very different thing.
Well, I have to remind you of the Billy Foster story about the 91 Ryder Cup, where Azinger changed the compression on his ball. And Sebi and Ollie are there debating the fact that they thought they saw a change in the ball. And then Azinger eventually said, you know what, you're right. I did change the ball and what have you. Or something happened. And Azinger walked past Billy Foster and said, nice try, like that. And then Billy went up to Sebi and said, do you know what he just said? He said, nice try. And Sebi just exploded. And that was it. They were 3 down or something at the time and they won the match.
Wow.
That's the sort of, that's the sort of thing that can fire John Ram up, is a little bit about you and then I'm off to the races,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do think it's going to be close, but I love how Griffin's playing. I love how Scotty's playing. And I think, I mean, somebody like Cantlay, who thrives in this kind of venue, I think it's going to be close. I think the Americans squeak it, but I don't think it's going to be a runaway either way. I think it's going to be, one of those things where it comes down to Sunday and it comes down to the singles. And
I hope so. I hope it's going to be
I hope so
really
too. Just
close,
from a spectator point of view, I think it's obviously I'm not there, so it's just watching on TV. So it's kind of just another tournament. But it is very exciting. The idea that this happens every other year. It's not all the time. And everybody's playing well. I mean, there isn't really anybody on either team who's like a pity vote. These people are playing incredibly well.
Yeah.
They are.
So go to yourgolftechnique.com, right? And then you're also on Instagram, correct? At Your Golf Technique?
Your Golf Technique and Nick Bradley Golf. Yeah.
Yeah. Nick, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for joining us. So for folks to be a part of yourgolftechnique.com, the site is live. The driver course is out there right now, correct?
That is correct. And look out for the iron course with Taylor. He's done a fantastic job. And follow us on Instagram, Your Golf Technique and Nick Bradley Golf. And as I say, the whole ethos behind the business was to get people off this, just minutia train of just useless advice, and actually get, if they're going to spend 4 minutes of their life, or in the case the driver course is 45 minutes in sections, is actually learn something authentically with good value to it, rather than just these snippets.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
Nick,
All right, sir. Thanks for joining us.
All right,
really,
guys.
really appreciate your time.
Good luck at the Ryder Cup.
Yep.
Thank
to
you,
you.
and to you as
luck.
to you as well.
How good was that? Not the popsicle, the episode. If you're listening at home, I'm eating a popsicle. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Anyway, how great was that? I mean, that kind of insight in what is happening right now at Bethpage I just thought that was totally awesome. I hope you enjoyed it. Go check out Your Golf Technique. Really, I think it's going to be something special. And if you're as much of a golf nerd as I am, you'll definitely already be signed up for the driver course. So anyway, we'll see you soon. We've got incredible guests coming up over the next couple weeks. So stay tuned and we'll see you all soon. All right. As always, email us at bogeyballsociety@gmail.com. Any questions, any comments, anybody you'd like to see, let us know. We'll try to get them on. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.